Greetings, fellow slingers. Welcome back to Roll the Hard 20 podcast. It is I, your trusted GM, Brian, welcoming you to another After Action Report, Part 2 for episode 51. By the way, this is going to be a heavy spoiler episode, so if you haven't already listened to episode 51, why are you starting here? Get over there, listen to that. Anyways, I sit down with Ratke, and he and I go over Dempsey's backstory. We talk about where he came from, things that brought him to Belhaim, and most important, we talk about the adversarial rivalry between Dempsey and Drosk and everything that culminated with that. I want to give a big shout out to our newest YouTube subscriber, Jamie Wyman. Thank you for joining the show. You too can join us over on YouTube at Roll the Hard 20. Check us out there. Don't forget, give us that 5-star rating and review, and like us on whatever podcast app you listen to the show on. We're on all the big ones: Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart Radio, Amazon, Audible. Yeah, we're on Audible too. And by the way, you could download the episodes directly from our website at rollthehard20podcast.com. We got a lot of cool things there. If you feel like you want to write something into the show, rollthehard20podcast@gmail.com. Drop me a line. I would love to give you a shout out on the show and answer any questions you may have for us. So, without any further delay, let's warm up our dice and top off our glasses. Roll the Hard 20 podcast presents episode 51 After Action Report, Part 2. I think that's the title. What, is it big enough for you? Whoa, shit. Snap. That's what she said.
I was going to say the last day we were there, I took like a 2-hour walk just down like those country roads. There's this like winery, and out front, it's like this, like they had welded together all these machine pieces and made this sick eagle. I'll send you a picture of it, but I always drive by. It's on like a main road up there in Hayesville in North Carolina where I just was. And we've never gone to the place. So I always want to get a look. I was like, you know what? Last day here, I'm walking to the Eagle. And then I started walking. I'm like, this is a little bit farther than I thought it was.
Isn't that funny how, like, when you look at something, it's like, it's not really that far. I can make it there. It's like, dude, that is like fucking 40 miles away. Yeah.
You don't realize too, like those mountain roads, like you're on a two-lane highway. People are doing 45 next to you, and there's no sidewalk. So if you're not watching and somebody comes, you're like off in the grass, just dipping and diving.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of those reel passages on Facebook. I don't know, like when I'm waiting for a car to do a diag or whatever, and it just all these auto crashes. And this dude, he must have been jamming on this motorcycle, like, oh man, probably like 100. And he was coming around a corner, and he got this thing like down. He was almost parallel to the floor, and obviously something went sideways because the bike went up in the air, and he just started like somersaulting like an Evel Knievel doll from the 70s.
Did he walk away from it?
I don't know. The video stopped and like when he was in mid-flight, and you knew he wasn't coming back from that.
Yeah, so he just turned into Superman for half a second.
Yeah, second too long. So how you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Should I have this as Dempsey, or am I just doing this as myself?
No, it's you.
Not sure what the format we're doing.
Yourself. I'll lead us in, and I'll feed you how you want to talk, little birdie.
Yes. Give me the protein shake.
Yeah, little birdie. Greetings, fellow slingers. Welcome back to Roll the Hard 20 podcast. It is I, your trusted GM, Brian, and with me, my fellow hard slinger. Yeah, and we got another after action report for episode 51, Battle on Three Fronts. I just finished talking with Chris just the other day about how we wrapped up Stubby's his backstory and everything that was going on, and I was as I was saying in the intro for that episode, that we had a lot of loose threads of people's backstories and everything else that they had done in Belhaim. So we were just kind of, I personally got to the point where I was ready to start putting things to rest and get on with the story, start moving it forward without being too railroady. And one of the things that I knew that was really important to us was taking care of Dempsey's backstory with Drosk.
Yes.
Let's hear it, Ratke. Tell me about how you took care of this guy.
Oh
Can you see
man.
that? Yeah,
I
there.
can't believe I ended it all with a punch in the balls. I have to say that was some Monster Squad stuff right there. Um, I don't know. I feel like I kind of cheated the system too, because if anybody's listened to the episode, I think
Yeah, at
I
this point, it's spoilers all the way. If
yeah,
you haven't heard episode 51, get on it.
yeah, you're about to hear some stuff, so get used to it from the velvet tongue himself. Oh God, I'm sure I'm gonna hear about that later. Um, anyways, yeah, I think at one point I failed a reflex saving throw or something, and I went down on one knee. And while I was down, I had one more attack, and I was like, "All right, I'm going for the old man pouch." And I think I should have done it like disadvantage, but whatever.
At that point, I think that it wasn't that we were running out of time. Everything was just happening really fast. I think when I was talking to Chris about it, I was saying how the whole thing kind of had gone down, how you had approached Drosk with Valadier right behind you, and Warren had stayed back at the bridge and cast invisibility on Stibby, who went into the tree line. And as I explained to everybody else already before, and then Dross actually had won the initiative, and he let you go first. And then you went, then he went, then Stibby went, and then Heinrich went right behind.
Heinrich.
Heinrich, he went all over
son of a
little
bitch.
Stibby. He finished his load all over the little man. But it was just kind of funny how, and I even said it in the intro, it's probably my favorite episode, just because there was so much shit going on when everybody had their moment. Everybody was in the spotlight all at the same time, and I really liked it. And I mean,
I like seeing the bard and the he's a warlock. Yeah, I get confused because he went back and forth with the sorcerer, but both of them were slinging the same spells. But I felt like we got a little bit of the flavor between them, where they both hit shatter, and I almost could like hear it in my head where one would be more like melodious and the other one more like screeching of demons or something.
yeah, like with Valadier, like he was tuning a tuning fork, just
Yeah. And he came in with the inspiration and the ACDC that I had to tell you about after. Did you catch that on the edit?
I haven't even listened to the edit aspect of it.
Yeah, man. And
No.
I don't know, maybe it was just in my own brain, but when he hit it, I was like, yes. And I told you it I felt like it gave me inspiration in real life, man, because I just had that thunder. Oh man.
Junior's always good for those drops and stuff. We always would want to do stuff like that when we would play in person at the table. He was just always really good about being on point and just playing full bore. He doesn't hold anything in reserve. He's very courteous to everybody else getting their moment and stuff, but he just brings it, man. I love that guy.
And Ryan with his just his flavor he brings to his spells is interesting. I was actually texting Chris when the whole thing was going down. I was like, do this. He's a wizard. Fuck him up. And he didn't do what I said. And I'm just going to say he fucking died. Just going to say.
Yeah, he knows. I mean, I showed him his clip of doom, which is
sad.
Right there. Gonzo. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd even said at one point you even had an easy out. He told you to apologize, and he didn't want to do that. But he stayed true to his character.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about Dempsey. I want to talk about his story arc, because a lot of things had led up to meeting with Drosk finally, in that he was on the run from him for a while because of taking a sucker shot when he was still hungover, and he won the battle and everything. So
and I mean, I've kind of hinted at it and tried to like role play it out a little bit, but yeah, Dempsey, he's lived his entire life in his brother's shadow, and not in a bad way. It's just his brother Jack was a fighter. They were involved in this gang in Almas, and I almost see it as like who's the really good looking boxer? What's his name? From like 10 years ago, Oscar De La Hoya. You know what I mean? Like he could kick ass, but he's also good looking. So it's like, I want to watch this guy fight, and my wife likes it too because he's like sexy dude. So like I kind of see that in Jack, where like he's a badass, but he's also good looking. So maybe they got taken off the street in a way because Yeah, they're like these gang guys, kind of like kid stuff, working for Drosk or whatever, but they're like, look at this good looking kid. Like, we can sell tickets to this. Oh, hey. And there was another character I introduced that I hadn't really get around to, the Mr. Sharp, the manager character. We did that little thing.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and I
yeah.
still have that bumper that
Mm-hmm.
was recorded, and I haven't dropped it yet because there's a reason why I'm going to.
Yeah. But
So
yeah, he got into the fighting game and kind of found a different way to make money. And I mean, like it or not, like, if you're agreeing to go in and beat the crap out of somebody so people can sell tickets and eat popcorn and drink beer, that's legal, and it's not bashing people's heads in, stealing. And whether his mom liked it or not, this and that. And then big fight. Jack got hurt right before. And the Mr. Sharp, the manager character, said, this is going to happen. You got to go in. Dempsey is the understudy. And that's when he came in. And like I said, I feel like he's always kind of lived his life in his brother's shadow. So at a moment, and we kind of hint at it in the bumper, it's like he's in there and he's doing his thing. And he really, they gave him the classic, like, just survive to the third and take a drop, like just get to the third drop. And he sees his father like, yeah, that's my son. And for the first time, he's like, I'm doing this. He sees his opportunity and he took Dross down. And like you said, Dross was like hungover. Dempsey was on a high, that kind of thing. Dross didn't think he was going to have to fight Jack because he got hurt. So just as like retribution, and because that's the kind of person, like you said, he's like a freight train, man. This guy, like, he took advantage of me. So he came to kill him. I think we may see some more, maybe not, from the Sharp. I kind of feel like he had like um, paid for Jack's training in a way, like put up money. So that's another thing that Dempsey's out here adventure. Because at this point, if it wasn't anything else, Dempsey could just pack up and go home. Hey, man, it's been nice. I'm safe. I'm going to go home and see how my family's doing. So I feel like we needed a little something extra, like that manager guy who's like lower level mob, middle manager mob stuff is still like, where's my money?
and that's even something that we could feed into as we start getting back on track with what we've been doing
Mm-hmm.
with the story. But I mean, you got to remember, well, obviously you do because you run Dempsey, but at one point he found himself in this little shithole town, Belhaim, which was hidden somewhere deep in Taldor, and that's he was on the run. And then next thing you know, he got basically tied up with some other stuff going on. I think that when you'd first entered Belhaim, Heinrich had found you and
Mm-hmm.
said that the Baroness wanted to speak with you, and you were brought back to her manor, and she had offered you money to go into Hunclay's manor and make sure that these other adventurers didn't steal anything while they inventoried
Mm-hmm.
the house. And that was basically how you were brought into the fold, was to kind of keep an eye on these guys, and without bringing your head above the whack-a-mole line, you managed to stay in with them and check out what they were doing, and eventually realized that these weren't bad guys. These were people you could trust your life with and stuff. And I think that really played out really well.
Sure. And I
So,
think just from being on the road like that, he probably like, he was looking for somebody to kind of relate to, you know?
yeah, I mean, they're all
Um,
misfits. They're all lost in some manner, whether Warren's running from a past several hundred years ago that he still hears the voice of in his mind, or Flint at the time, he never really explained why he was no longer with his order, but he still prayed to his deity. And then you got Stubby, who was once a slave at one point, who got
mm-hmm.
freed, and then obviously your backstory with how Dempsey evolved. I got a cat crying.
He
Can you
wants
hear
out.
that? Can you hear the
Yeah.
cat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's probably gonna. Next thing you know, I'll see the paws coming underneath the door. But anyways,
I
yeah, I
think
had
I
a really good time with it.
I think I did the math on it, like geography from Almas, where I'm thinking, because I was like, what's a big city he could be from that's not freaking Absalom and close to Belham? And I think it would be the same as like Orlando, Florida to Savannah, Georgia. And like that's far if you're thinking about on a wagon and
Yeah,
like over mountains and stuff. So, you're traveling that weeks and weeks and weeks alone. Your family's gone. Dempsey has his older brother, he's got a twin sister, and he's got two twin, like, smaller sisters. And, like he's got this whole family and a mom and a dad that he just left because he knew, if they're coming for me, they could hurt my family. I got to get out of here.
And I always
So,
thought of him as like Bruce Banner on the old Incredible Hulk show,
yeah,
where he was just wandering on the highway. He just had like a knapsack and
that's sad. So,
that really sad theme going through, and wherever he found himself, he plied his wares to eat that night and find a place to sleep. And sometimes he probably had to sleep in a livery stable, or maybe somebody would be kind enough to give them their
farmer's
shed out back.
daughter, you just go in,
Shit, Dempsey,
whatever
right
it
on,
is.
rock
Yeah.
that thing. But the whole time he didn't want to probably stay put anywhere long, because somebody was following him.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was clocking him, trying to catch up and settle this score. And eventually it got to the point where you didn't run anymore. No more running. I think that was episode 50. Where,
yeah. I mean, I tried to even get out of that, and then the guys talked him back into it. I was like, let's just go to that cave. Let's just go. Let's keep moving. And they were like, let's do this. And honestly, I was ready to keep with like the Running Man stuff. I was good with that because I didn't feel like personally that the character was strong enough to beat Dross from what I had built up. And maybe Dempsey, like again, you're running for weeks on end and you're scared. You're going to build this like massive maniacal half-orc beast in your mind, where like maybe when he got face to face with him, he was like, I think I can handle you, motherfucker. I gotten stronger. Like, let's do this.
Yeah, even Bacchus was like, go take care of him, boy. You can't keep running. You'll be running the rest of your life. And when you went out there, you saw that Drosk was just one-on-one with you. And he even said, is your boyfriend behind you going to step up and enter this fray? Because if it's just you and me, then it's just you and me. None of my boys will interfere. The ape's going to stay back. We're just going to do it, you and I. And he's an old guy. He's a hammer who sees everything as a nail. And he doesn't have the kind of skills like Dempsey does. Certainly didn't have the youth either.
Yeah.
So,
dude, I used every single trick in my bag, and I had some hit points left. But if you would have kept coming at me with that, with the axe, he only had so much heat. I used every single one of my rolls and stuff. I think the character's coming out really cool with the fighter and now the barbarian stuff, and all of that was just from role play. Like that, we did the thing, and he was like pimping himself up to get ready for the demon, and I was like, that's like some barbarian shit,
Yeah.
And again, being away from his family, he's always had his mom there. He's always had his brother. Like, calm down, Dempsey, stop. And now he's like off the chain, ready to, like a wild dog.
Well, I enjoyed what you did with the character. I really did, and I'm curious to see. Well, more excited than curious to see where it's going to go as
we're never going to play him again. So yeah,
no, we're going
thank
to.
God.
we still got a couple episodes in the can right now, so we're still sitting pretty good, and we got a few things that we're looking at down the horizon. I don't want to give any of that away because schedules are so fluid. That's right. As he holds up this brand new book that he just got and posted on social media. What book you got there, Ratke?
So we got the old 2nd edition Pathfinder core rulebook. That's what I'm holding up for those of you in audio land.
And that looks beautiful. I can't.
This thing is sick. Jason Bullman, you're a good man. Look at this thing.
He is. Jason, send me some books. Roll the Hard 20 podcast.
Send me $10,000.
I'll give you a shout out.
Yeah, I'll send you a hard 20.
That's right. I'll send you a gold doubloon and a sticker.
Oh.
But no, I've read a lot of his books that, from his first edition and stuff. And I got to tell you, they do a remarkable job. I obviously we're digressing at this point, but they do a remarkable job with all their information as far as building Galarian.
Mm-hmm.
And their original core rulebook for 1E is still an amazing game. But I can't help but get enough when I look at some of the campaign settings and reading about like the Mwangi Expanse and
Ustalov?
Night Owl. No.
Ustalov, Carrying Crown,
Ustalov,
baby.
Well, definitely Ustalov. I mean, I was reading that book. I think it's called Fear something.
And Loathing in Vegas?
No. In fact, it's been a while since I've done any prep for the carrying crown. And I know we were going to hit back into that right after this, but I think unfortunately, this is probably the first time anybody's going to hear about it, that we may be changing that slightly because we're going to be looking at something else to modify our mechanics yet again, which I'm looking forward
What
to.
could that be, Brian?
I don't know. You're holding the book in your hand, and I'm not going to give it away yet. I'm not going to give it away. Ruled by Fear is what it was called.
Sounds like a story of my life, man.
Ruled by Fear?
Yeah, man.
Oh. No, I think this is really going to play well for us. And of course, we still have some Delta Green coming down the pike also. I think we'll probably be hitting Gaslight maybe this weekend or maybe even Monday. So we're waiting to see. We're waiting to see what agents drop, on the Discord to see who's going to join us, and we'll go from there.
Nice. I'm trying to think of one other thing. In my own life, I can actually say I've had a experience like what that fight was, the 3-on-3. There was this place called the High School Trail, and as you can imagine, it was like in between our neighborhood, and there was like a shopping center. If you went probably like a football field, like through these woods, just undeveloped land, and you'd pop out kind of near the high school. So everybody from our neighborhood would walk through the high school trail to get to high school. And there was bums back there and stuff and whatever. And my brother would always tell stories about the high school trail that he got attacked back there and did all this karate and beat these guys up. And I was going back there with a couple buddies one time, and some kind of problem with somebody and a girlfriend and another guy. So these two guys come up and start beating up my friend. And then another group of guys come after me, and I was a fat kid growing up, so I wasn't a fighter. I'm like, dude, I don't have a girlfriend, why are you fighting me? I'm cool, I'm everybody's friend, what are you doing? And so I had to, this kid started squaring off on me, and he beat the crap out of me. And not whatever, he got a couple good shots in the face, whatever, but it kind of brings me back thinking about this kind of stuff to those days where kids beating up each other. And I don't know. I just flashed to that.
But now look at you. You're all ripped. Good looking.
Whatever.
You look good.
It's all special illusions. This is all through the Disney Corporation. I pay them a lot of money for this.
Well, you got your money's worth.
Thanks, sir.
So do we have anything else before we want to wrap up this after action report? You want to give me any more tidbits or anything?
I do. I feel like I kind of missed the boat on the ending because, Dempsey was raging. I feel like he kind of just stepped out of the rage and kind of went right into the role play. And I saw Chris's new character, and I wanted to get him into the thing. It's always weird trying to introduce somebody. So when you started describing, hey, cleric, come over here.
Yeah, that could have been something that somebody just, you with the robes, get over here. And I think that's basically what happened. Is you saw somebody that was in clerical robes and pulled him out of the crew, or out of the bystanders, and that was how he was brought into it. But
it's like when Flint passed, he was still trying to give him CPR, but he was already dead. So maybe in that moment, Dempsey was like, the holy man, come here.
Yeah. But I could see how you were focused in on what you had done. I mean, because everybody was in their own moment while all this other shit was going on around. You had Warren going into the trees looking for this individual that was firing at Stubby's prone body, and Stubby, he's face down in the grass and stuff, and you just see every 30 feet, another 30 feet, as these blasts kept getting further and further away from the melee. And you had Valadir with the orc and the war ape, which were the only ones left, and then you were still hitting Drosk in his coin purse and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Valadir's just over there hitting whammy bar. Just...
Yeah, and had Warren drop, I don't think anybody would have even known until it was all said and done, because still technically, other than the listeners and us as players, know what happened to Stubby.
I feel like if we ever run across him again, it's going to be just one of those things where we know and he knows, but we don't know, but we know that we know. I know we're gonna do a little bit more on the next episode. We had kind of talked about some stuff that Dempsey wants to do, but I think that either in the moment, maybe he could have reached out and grabbed one of Drosk's teeth, or he can go visit him because he's gonna want to send that to his family just to let them know, hey, you know, I'm good. Don't worry about this.
Yeah, we could have you make like a midnight run to the Somerset or Sunset House, where the bodies are. Basically, I think they said they were going to burn them out back. So you can even pull it off his charred corpse and just whoop.
Right out of the corpse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right out of the skull. Because they're not going to waste their time burying some ape and a bunch of orcs.
This is the kind of stuff you talk about when you play these games. I'm talking to you about what we're talking about. Like, is there a FedEx? I'm going to try to send money to my family. And you're like, yeah, good luck. Like, send it by a catapult.
Yeah, I think I said, yeah, maybe you can find a courier. Maybe,
Yeah. But
I mean,
who
a courier?
Yeah, who are you going to trust with 800 gold or whatever? I mean, I know there had to be systems like that where, like, how are you going to get money places?
Well, like I said, your best bet, and this is obviously we're metagaming at this point, was Grellin and Sons, which was the money exchanger that is, well, he was holding money for Stubby. And Stubby had the chit. That and the guy
the money because they put it in.
You had to present this chit to get your money back.
I give a shit about your shit.
Yeah, don't give no shit.
Have you read the book The Name of the Wind?
I have not.
Famous like fantasy. That book gave me an entirely different just like concept of money in fantasy, because the kid, it's kind of like Harry Potter for adults. And I know if somebody listens to this, they're gonna just tear that apart. But the kid is like at a magic school sort of thing, and a lot of the plot is him trying to get money, but he like breaks it down. He's like, yeah, I got 20 copper and 6 silver, and like he never has gold. The one time that he's able to get his hands on gold, it's like, ooh, whatever. But he's like almost like a bard, and he plays music in a tavern, yada yada yada. But I think there was something in that where he had to send money or he had to receive money, and it was set up like the author really did a good job explaining it, where like if he signed for it, that guy got a certain amount of money, and if he didn't sign for it, the guy wouldn't get paid, or it was like payment on delivery.
Yeah, and I think what we'll do is we'll have something set up like that where they could either take the chance of having it basically like FedExed out there through a courier that would take weeks, if not longer, to get there, or he could run the chance of whether or not they want somebody to magically teleport it there with a certain percentage of success or failure.
Just lines up on the Egan dinner table right next to the turkey.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, you would have to describe very detailed to whoever is going to do it, where it's at, where it's located, and give as much of an identification, and then see if it's something that is even possible.
Yeah.
Without losing anything. I mean, obviously they can't send anything back and say, yeah, we got it. It doesn't work that way, but.
Well, Dempsey's like afraid of magic anyways, so I don't know if he would want that. Damn, I had a thought, but I completely lost it.
Oh, you'll pick it up again, I'm sure. But yeah, I'd like to see us do stuff like that too. Get more involved with the townspeople once you guys, I think you guys said you were going to go look at the cave, right? Going to go deal with Hunclay's remainders, because the next day is the auction. So I think you really don't have a lot of time to get the shit done that you want to get. So you have to pick and choose.
I think the other thing is watching 2 people die in front of him. He's probably good. We kind of joked around when Flint passed it, like, oh, he's got a DNR. He'll probably write like a little thing like, if I die, send whatever you can to Thomas Egan with like his Dempsey's address and Almas, so like send it to my father. And again, this is all flavor stuff. It's so weird when a character dies, because it's like he's gone. All right, so I'm coming in with a paladin, I'm a brand new person, and
yeah, I always suggest that somebody has a backup character that they kind of level up on the side as you're leveling up, but I think that it ruins the experience of death. I guess that's a weird way of saying it, but it
pretty macabre.
Yeah, it cheapens the death that they just experienced. Of course, back in the old D&D days, it was, you had to save versus magic wands or save versus turn to stone, and that was it. So you really didn't get a lot of love for somebody because it was a lot more roll for initiative, and people still role played considerably and everything. But I think that maybe it was because I was much younger when we played it back then. We almost thought of these characters as being disposable.
Sure.
If
they're like paper heroes.
Yeah, if you couldn't find your character from last time, you roll another one up pretty quick and get back in the.
It's more like, what weapon do you have? It's not even about the character. It's like, I got a big sword. Okay, well, my guy's got this. I'm the archer guy.
Armor class and what kind of armor is he wearing? What kind of weapon does he have? Exactly, what's his strength at, and all this stuff. But I think as we've gotten older and we started running, whether they're published APs or whether they're homebrewed, you start feeling more for the characters. You start wanting them to have their own personalities, and so when one of them does die, you're just like, oh fuck,
like, damn, I can't be that person anymore. They no longer exist.
Because you push your own personality into them to a degree.
Sure.
Everybody's got something. So
well, that's why I like the Delta Green, because it's less about shoot 'em up, cops and robbers, like who's the strongest guy. I play in a game with my 10-year-olds and their buddies, and the first question the kids always ask is, who's the strongest character? And you have to explain they're all the strongest character. It's just how you play it.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the Delta Green, it's like my character is a complete like wimp the way I think of him, but he's smart and he's creative in a system like that.
He's very resourceful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that what you obviously this is segueing into our Deep Waters episodes. The way that, and I'm not going to spoil it, but the way that you dealt with the main bad guy at the end of that, with all the rain or like the sleet coming across the ship and everything, and you're very low lit, and just the way that you overcame that was very creative. I was like, I don't know how realistic it could have been, but it was just so bitchin' that I couldn't say no to it.
That was so fun.
That's the kind of creativity I love to see, even when we're playing D&D or we're playing Pathfinder or anything else like that. I like to see that kind of creativity of thinking outside the box and stuff. I remember I was running a Dragonborn. This is when we were playing it in California or whatever, and I had like his breath weapon was, I can't remember. It might have been ice, I think it was. So I'd act like, get it going and just blast it out and describe all these particles of ice just coming and just chipping away at somebody in this conical formation and stuff, just trying to really add the flavor. Same thing with like
the visual
Ramirez.
picture there.
Yeah, you just want to really get that across at the table where they say, okay, I'm going to use my breath weapon, and you roll the dice. No, man, tell me what you're going to do. I want
explain how's your person standing? What does it look like? Are you crouching? Is it one hand up? What is it? Your eyes?
Yeah, you want to really convey that. I think that even when you're playing at a table, that always gets everybody else involved with it. But when you're playing and you're recording it like what we're doing on a show, I think that really lends itself when you're being very descriptive about what your character's doing. You're talking, not in, so and so is going to do this as you describe yourself. No, I stand up and I pull my bow back to its fullest extent, and I say a prayer to my deity, and let it go and roll that with advantage. That was badass,
Yeah, like the role play there.
Yeah, something like that. You really get into it.
When we play, there is so much going on because it's like the story's going, then there's the tactics, because as we know, Dempsey likes to punch who's ever standing next to him.
Friend or foe, no discrimination.
Yeah, and then I'll crit. So good times. So I'm trying to keep tactics in mind, and then also the story, and then I'm trying to remember all this crap because I keep everything on a sheet. So I'm trying to go to my sheet. Okay, look at this. I got my rage. I got the red is my damage for when I am raging. I got all this other crap. So trying to keep the mechanics in mind, and then trying to get the other guys in there too. Okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it's a lot. Like every time you're like, okay, we'll find out next week. I'm like, it's been an hour. Holy crap.
Yeah, and I think that our group, I no longer have to fish for what somebody wants to do, whereas before I would have troubles with one of our players where I always have to say, okay, hey, so what do you think about that? Tell me what you're thinking. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't have to name any names, but I just hated to do that because I wanted everybody to be invested in
Kush.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
He's
Kidding.
like
I'm
the
kidding.
last guy.
He's the man. Yeah.
That guy's the man. I loved role
We
playing
got to
with
get
him.
him fired from the university so he comes back.
Yeah, totally. No,
There's
no, like,
always some sort of like Tinder, we can do some sort of controversy and get him fired. I'm sure he'd appreciate it.
well, I really miss playing with
Is
him
he like a
at the
professor
table.
now?
I don't know what he's doing. I don't think I really ever asked.
International
Well,
playboy. He
he
like
does. Obviously, he's doing something for computers, I think, or something like that. But I think he eventually got a job with a gaming company, and they made him sign an NDR,
Mhm.
and so that's why he bailed out
He
because he
like
wasn't.
literally works for Paizo and he's like one
I
of their
asked
main
him. I said, "Are
designers.
you going to work for Wizards or Paizo or something like that?" He's like, "No, no, it's not like that." I was like, "Oh, okay." Um,
He's
but I
working for
just,
like a pool company, like a pool table. It's like a completely different game.
I guess it was a conflict of interest because he had to disclose it. So,
That
which is
sucks.
fine. I
But
hope I'm
good for
ratting you
him.
out. I hope you're getting let go now because you could
You
come
little
back.
bastard. Social security number 5.
But
Yeah, man.
no,
As I was gonna say, you know how we do our after action reports. We're gonna talk about everything.
yeah. I mean, when Kush and I, when we used to sit in my other office and we would do that rolling for 20,
Mm-hmm.
and we would come up with outlines, and we're like, the outline isn't working because we digress. So
Mm-hmm.
let's just do two things. We'll start with the topic. We'll talk for 20 minutes, and then at some point though, it has to make its way back to the first topic. And once it does that, then we're okay. And so
Yeah.
that's how we started doing our stuff and talking about um, low level characters and what kind of monsters do you hate to go against or to DM for or whatever. And then it just kind of spiral out of control. Or we talk about railroads or homebrew versus published and just things like that, and what got us into the hobby that we love. And they're all out there. So we had a good time. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
as long as what we're doing brings it back around. But we always end up digressing, even with these after action reports, all the time. So
My neighbor was giving us some love yesterday at our HOA meeting. He's like, "Hey, man, I saw what you posted. That's awesome. I'll listen to some of that." I'm like, "Thanks."
yeah,
Good
tell them where
man.
to start
Brennan.
off on though. Tell them to start off on the one that you're in, obviously. So
Yeah, man. Um, cool. Yeah, I can't wait to play more. I want to see what else happens to Dempsey. This is just a random concept I came up with and ran with it. I asked you, well, what's the party like? How can I add to this party? Because I always want to I want to play something that mechanically is going to add to this. And I had this, and just it's coming out pretty cool.
I think as long as you put together a character that is interesting for you to play
Mm-hmm.
and makes you excited to roll the stats or roll him while you're playing him, that's the character you should make. I don't think you should look at, well, we don't really have a healer that matter.
Sure.
I mean, well, we don't really have a magic user. Doesn't matter. You just modify your tactics, and if we start losing somebody, and then we need to modify the party at some point, we'll know that because somebody will eventually die, and then okay, well, let's retry it.
Yeah, obviously we're missing
Yeah,
something.
let's shake up the ingredients and see what else comes out of it. So
I typically have about 7 different characters just rolling through my head at any time. So like I started thinking about a paladin the other day for whatever reason. So now that's there. So we'll see what happens.
I hear that rogues got such a bad rap in both 5e and Pathfinder that I wanted to play a rogue because I wanted to see just how bad it is, or see if I can make it better by whatever it is I did. So I think I played a rogue a couple of times, and I was pleased with it. I didn't have a problem. I think they even said that the ranger in 5e was kind of weak, and I played the ranger, and he lasted all the way up until the last episode.
I think it just comes down to tactics.
Yeah, basically. Actually, well, I failed a saving throw. Kusha ran us through the sinister secret of Salt Marsh, and on the last episode, like at the back end of it, I failed my saving throw, and then it like made me rigid or something, and I had to do it one more
Yeah,
time, and I fucking failed it, and I died, and the other guys got the money and the glory and everything, and I
if you have an erection for more than 4 hours, call a clerik.
well, what's he gonna do?
Yeah, he'll bring in, some
As long as
help.
he's not a Catholic cleric, I'll be okay.
Enough Jack Daniels, you never know.
I think I'm outside that age bracket, but okay.
Yeah, you're still pretty. That's okay.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I just got done reading The Lies of Locke Lamora, which is all about these fantasy thieves, and I see each one, because that's what I do. I see each one as a different type of rogue. So like with the archetypes from Pathfinder, I'm like, he's like this type of rogue, but he's like this type, and she's like this. And with something like Pathfinder, where there's 6,000 different archetypes, or even the subclasses in 5e from Wizards, like you can do whatever. I think people that say these classes are not good, they're just not creative, or maybe they just roll bad or something.
I was listening to an individual whose channel was on YouTube because I wanted to get try to do a crash course on Pathfinder 2e, and I was listening to the guy, and he was talking it up, doing really well and everything, and then he came out with a video just out of nowhere, just said, you know what, I'm done with Pathfinder 2e. It's the illusion of choice. There is no choice. No matter what, you're going to be doing the same thing, and everybody's doing the same thing, and blah blah. I'm just like, I don't think your players may not be. I don't know. Maybe they just don't want to play. Maybe they're just all about the rolling of the dice. Because you could have two fighters that are built the exact same way with the exact same feats and everything, and they would, if they're creative players, they'll approach problems different. And
Sure.
I know this because Eric Brown, who was part of the show in California before we actually started the Riders on the Storm and Carrion Crown, we were playing at this comic store, which is where I met everybody, and we both had fighters almost identical to a point, but we played them different the way he and I actually did stuff, and it was kind of cool. That was Rackthon. That was my guy. He was
nice.
He was a fort commander that had been disgraced when his entire garrison got destroyed, and he was like the sole survivor, and they blamed him for it.
Outcast.
Yeah. Basically, he was feeling like everybody was looking down on him.
There's a lot of you in that character. Oh. So while Brian's dying, I'll keep the chat alive. How's the cream of my own guy there? Better. I was actually watching a podcast, and
sorry, give me
one of the people, they were doing some role playing, and one of the guys starts coughing, and it was like in character, so you're kind of like, oh, he's really getting into this, and he like started like dying almost on screen, and I'm thinking, damn, he's really going for it. And the people were like, do you need to stop? It got to that point where they're like, are you okay? And I'm thinking, what would they do if this person just died? Because it's like this, like I'm in Tallahassee, you're in Tampa, like I can't call your wife. I don't know. You know what I do? Like call 911. Like, my game master's down. He needs help.
Your what?
Yeah. He rolled a 1.
Your gay master?
They're like,
game.
we're on your way to your location, sir. But yeah, that just you coughing right there reminded me, and it blew. I've never seen anything like that before, where you're like, oh man, this is like legit.
Yeah, I think I had when I was doing Bacchus a couple episodes ago, I started like losing my voice, and I'm trying to find like beer or anything to chug, and give me some old pencil shavings, anything, I'll take it all. But
sure. You really get into the voice, man. I give you that. I'm like, I DM and I do my best, but I don't have that range like you do.
I love doing it, man. I live for it. It's just something I like doing. I know that
what was the thing with the trident? You were like, doing that. And we found out later it was because of the poison that it was putting on the trident. But I was like,
yeah,
damn, he's really getting into this.
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't want to just describe, the fiend comes at you, and he's got this trident, and he licks it, even I, just to say it, and then you got to get into it, because I want you guys to like be laughing and sensing the danger and getting involved and getting juiced up too. So when like when we were doing Zabub, he's like, yeah, just doing the flying and shit like that. Even Lodo, the homuncula was in the observatory. I want everybody to
That
feel
little bastard.
Yeah, I want you guys to get involved with these guys. Be invested when you kill them, that you actually decimated the personality, not just the page with stats. So that's what I like doing with voices.
Kudos to you. Give yourself a gold doubloon.
No, I'll do that. Where's it? I don't even up there. I actually have to set this thing up when we do it. But anyways, I think we're all done, man. You got anything else you want to add before we pull the plug on tonight's venture?
Keep listening. If we roll a hard 20, right in. rollthehard20@gmail.com. I always want to say it when it happens.
Podcast@gmail.com.
Podcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, give me a
but I don't want to step on you, so I'm like, I want to say it, but I don't want to,
Yeah,
overstep.
you know what?
But yeah,
I encourage everybody to be part and parcel. So I'm sure that the listeners know this because I've said it so many times. Getting Ratke on the show has just been amazing. He was originally trying out for the show when we were losing Koosh, and I knew that Koosh was leaving before he left, so it wasn't it still sucked, but I think it was our time zone, and when we actually started playing in California, that made it so difficult for David to join us. And now that I'm out here in Florida and he's in Florida time, it was just really great to get him on the show, because I tell you, Jay, you bring a lot to the show. Definitely, everybody does. So
yeah, we have fun.
And even when we're playing Delta Green and we mix it in with some of the other guys and the hard slingers of yore, I love doing that. I know that, like I said, we got a surprise coming down the line. I haven't mentioned who it is yet, but he will be.
It's a big love fest here at the old Roll the Hard 20 podcast.
Yep. So I'm excited about it. We got people all over the place. But
yeah, we're literally going to be coming from every single time zone in the continental U.S. That's sexy.
Pacific, Central, Mountain, and East.
Be afraid for your wives, because there's a hard slinger somewhere near you.
Don't forget, like us, subscribe to us, and leave us a 5-star rating and review on whatever podcast app you listen to the show on. It really does help out. I know people think it doesn't, but it really does. It helps the shows climb up, in their notoriety. So when you search for Pathfinder, or you search for the Dragon's Demand or 5e or Delta Green or whatever, it moves us up. It really does help. Don't forget, if you don't want to just listen to us and you actually want to see us, see our ugly faces, head on over to YouTube. Our channel is Roll the Hard 20. Check us out there, and feel free to write us in, like Dave said, rollthehard20podcast@gmail.com. We have a website, rollthehard20podcast.com. Head on over there, check out what we look like, all the pictures we post and stuff like that. I think that's about it.
Yeah. Have a great night.
Good night.